So the three documents that we talked about this week or studied this week are all around the idea of evil and why there's evil in the world if there was a God that exists that claims that he is good. So the three documents that we talked about, the first one was Rowe's Problem of Evil in Some Varieties of Atheism, where he goes through three different viewpoints: the atheistic viewpoint, the unfriendly atheist, the friendly atheist, and the theist. Talks about how the unfriendly atheist kind of just is in his own, the unfriendly atheist and the theist are both kind of in their own mind, like, this is exactly what I believe and there's absolutely no changing it. And then the friendly atheist is the one that's just kind of like, yeah, I listen to what you say. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you believe. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion, your own beliefs, and there's nothing I can change about that. But this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it, and I'm not forcing it down your throat. This is shown where he's talking about, can someone like our friendly atheist hold a belief to be convinced that he is rationally justified in holding that belief, and yet believe that someone else is equally justified in believing the opposite? He's talking about how the friendly atheist hears both sides. She's like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but there's no need to be so uptight about it. Just live your life. You don't have to shove it down anybody's throat. The next document that we studied this week was Mackey's Evil and Omnipotence, where he says, I think that some theists have at least maintenance that God can do what is logically impossible. Many theists, at any rate, have held that logic itself is created or laid down by God, that logic is the way in which God arbitrarily chooses to think. That's saying that God put logic in our heads. God created logic. It's on our minds. But then that's summed up by the free will defense. But in Mackey's Evil and Omnipotence, the point is made, literally stands out in the paragraph that says, good cannot exist without evil, or evil is necessary as a counterpart to good. Because of the free will defense, which Plantija's, not sure how to say it, free will defense, where that entire document is about free will and why we have free will, and how if we didn't have the option to choose the cookie over working out, then there would be a completely different world, a completely different society. It would be cookie cutter people. It'd be everybody making the right choices, and there would still be issues with morality and not being good enough. In the free will defense, it says, God is omnipotent, and it was not within his power to create a world containing moral good but no moral evil. God didn't necessarily create evil, but he created free will. And that's where the difference is, and that's where the argument kind of is, well, why did he create free will? But, you know, there are times when you have to go through struggles where you have to choose the cookie over going to work out. But it wasn't necessarily meant to be evil. That's the free will coming into play. He even points out in the free will defense that for to do so, he'd have to create persons who were significantly free. Otherwise, there would be no moral good, but suffered from the trans-world depravity. Such persons go wrong with respect to at least one action in any world God could have actualized in which they were free with respect to morally significant actions. So the price for creating a world in which they produce moral good is creating one in which they also produce moral evil. You have the choice to do and be the way that you want to be, but being similar to the friendly atheist, you have to accept other people's decisions to eat the cookie instead of going to work out. You have to accept people's decisions, that they're not always going to make the right decisions because nobody's perfect, that, you know, their desire is different from yours, and that's how free will and being similar to the friendly atheist comes into play. And that's why all three of these documents are important to the argument of why evil is necessary in a good world.